One. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and being a producer of Wrestle Massacre as well as Inside Movies Galore, I am David Striggy, and welcome to Delusions of Grandeur. Enjoy the reviews. I certainly did. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting film journey here on Delusions of Grandeur. I am one of your hosts. But today we are stuck inside a circle. Not a circle of trust, mind you. But we, I guess we've got a couple of films that we were going to go on last week, but had technical difficulties. So we are back to attack these two films, and the films that Boris subjected us to. So, Boris, why don't you tell us the first of the two that we tackled a week and a half ago?
So, what we watched a week and a half.
Well, we had to watch it ahead of time because she's been working like nonstop.
Okay, then it's the movie The Ring 2, the sequel to the first American Ring movie, but also a short movie called Rings from 2005, not to be mistaken for the movie of the same title from 2017, which is kind of The Ring 3, but for some reason they renamed it Rings, just like this short movie. But yeah, this short movie Rings from 2005 is a short prequel to The Ring 2, which shows the events that preceded the beginning of The Ring 2, or rather what preceded the death of the character who dies at the very beginning of The Ring 2. So maybe we should start with the short movie. What did you guys think of Rings? Was this the first time you saw the short movie, and what were your first impressions?
It's the first time I saw the short one, and it was okay. It was just, to me, it was more almost like an infomercial, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, basically, it just kind of did a backstory on the beginning story, which I'm glad that they didn't put that in the movie. So, but it was the same actors and actresses that was in this short film, which I wonder why the same actors and actors. Maybe they did it as like a okay, I only got to be in this movie all of 5 minutes kind of thing, and they wanted to do their own thing, you know, like they wanted to show the events that led up to why he needed her help to begin with. So it was entertaining to that aspect. Okay, it was part of a joke. Okay, and he did it for love technically because there was a girl that he was kissing that was evidently part of the group that was passing the curse along. You know, and it was kind of like done as a "I dare you if you do it" moment. You know.
Ooh, yeah. Well, oh, sorry. Did you have anything else to add?
No, it was okay. I mean, it was a 15-minute short. Gave you a little bit more of a background, and it was so. I mean, it wasn't really needed for the movie, but I guess I'm at the end of the day glad that I saw it because it kind of adds to it. It's kind of like a deleted scene that was turned into a short film. So, but I kind of agree with Tammy's sentiment. It's kind of an infomercial that you really don't need.
Cool. Yeah, we could say so. For me, of course, it's not the first time I saw this short movie. Interestingly enough, I've just read on Wikipedia that it was released in 2005 on the day March 8th, which was actually yesterday, funnily enough. And as I know, it's the International Women's Day, which I don't know why they released it on that particular date, but it's probably a coincidence. But yeah,
Well,
happy
maybe
belated.
it's meant to be this discussion.
Yeah. Happy belated International Women's Day to you, Tammy, and to all women listening to this discussion.
Indeed.
So, yeah, I liked this short movie because, first of all, it kind of expands the lore of Samara and of stuff she can do to her victims. Like, we can see the stuff she was doing to Jake in this movie is similar yet different from what she was doing to Rachel and Noah in the first movie. So it gives us a little bit variety on the stuff she can do. And also, yeah, the character of Jake is a little bit more fleshed out in this short movie. We actually kind of see that he is an asshole and that it kind of stops us from feeling sorry for him for what happens to him at the beginning of the ring too. When you take into account that he near the end of the story, he began completely faking feelings for the other girl, for Emily, only to get her to watch the tape instead of. He could have just. Okay, maybe he couldn't have been completely honest with her, but he could have found other reasons why he needed her to watch the tape without taking advantage of her feelings for him and lying that he had a romantic interest in her when he really didn't, as we see in The Ring 2 when he was on the phone and said to a friend of his that he gave the tape to some stupid chick from school, as he worded it. So yeah, screw him. uh, But also, I find it interesting that you said that you are glad that this wasn't a part of the main movie, The Ring 2, because interestingly enough, there is an obscure fan edit of The Ring 2, which is called The Ring 2 Unlocking the Well. Not sure if you have heard of it. You probably didn't, right? Hello?
Yep, we're here.
I said you did not hear of this fan-made edit of The Ring 2, which is called The Ring 2 Unlocking the Well. You are
Uh,
not familiar with that, right?
no, I have not.
No, no.
I discovered the existence of that fan edit back in 2012 during my main obsession with the Ring franchise, but at that time I wasn't able to find that fan edit anywhere. But now, a few months ago, I actually finally found it after such a long time. And in that fan edit, they actually made a major part of this short movie a part of their version of The Ring 2.
So how long
when,
is the fan edit?
actually, let me see. I maybe have it somewhere around here, so I might be able to answer that question right away. The fan edit is 1 hour and 47 minutes. They did add the short movie to the main movie, but they removed a lot of things from the main movie and thought it would be better without it. Personally, I do not think the fan edit is superior to the main movie, but I still thought it was interesting. I finally found it after such a long time because it was really rare and difficult to find. Uh, but yeah, apparently many people thought that this short movie is actually the best part of The Ring 2 and that it should have been a part of the main movie. Uh, but yeah, so what should we say about the plot of the short movie? Is should we just go through it quickly? Was there any detail that you guys found especially interesting to point out?
Only, I mean, it it really isn't that important to the movie's storyline. It just gives the actor in the very beginning more to say and do, and more like what he was thinking while he had actually like been dared to do this. And yeah, I mean, it was nothing really significant. I don't understand how or why people thought that this was like one of the most important scenes that was not put in the movie, especially since it was directed by a totally different director. You know,
Uh,
um,
I don't know why, but maybe because it had, I don't know, maybe maybe stronger scare effects than the main movie. That's the only reason I can think of. Uh,
not really.
but
I mean, it was a totally different directed effort. I mean, yeah, it had the same people, but I feel like it's more of a film that was done for the actor and actress that wasn't in there all of like 5 minutes in the very beginning, and it just maybe was made for the attempt to make those actors and actresses feel better about being in the movie, like a sympathy effort.
huh, well, uh, according to Wikipedia, the short film garnered positive reviews from both critics and audiences who purchased the special edition of the first film. Wow, I didn't
It
know
can
there
have
was.
it can have all kinds of positive reviews all at once. All I know is what I saw of it. And yes, it was pretty cool for a 15-minute short film, but it all it really did was add what we already kind of fucking knew, you know.
Okay, to an extent, that's true. Well, personally, yeah, I don't think this movie is such an important part of the franchise, but it was cool to see all the different stuff Samara can do. And another thing I found interesting is that it actually, in these 15 minutes, it actually does quite a good job fleshing out all these characters, all these members of this little community called Rings, where as far as we find out, people experiment with Samara's videotape, and it became like a subculture. They all know what happens to people who watch the tape. So when someone watches it during their 7 days, they record everything on camera and share it with others. And they all want to get they all try to get as close to the deadline and document as
Yeah, I get it. It's like the new parkour thing, you know.
yeah, like they
The
want to
the new
document
those who like to live in danger.
uh, yeah, like they want to document as many of these paranormal phenomena as they can without getting themselves killed. but as we can see, it corrupts some of them. Like some of them got so obsessed with finding out what happened. So day 7, that they became willing to sacrifice someone for the purpose of the deadline moment being recorded. Uh, so yeah, this as we find out, this girl Vanessa, whom Jake liked, she also apparently faked feelings for him, so she would get him to record day 7. And he didn't even know that she did that. She did it in arrangement with this guy Timmy, who was supposed to watch the videotape after Jake, but he went back on his promise, which we found out was in arrangement with Vanessa. But as we find out, Jake himself is not that much better person than Vanessa, since he unknowingly did the same thing to Emily, faked having feelings for her just to get her to save his ass. um, so yeah, in these a few minutes of a short movie, we get some interesting dynamics among these characters. I personally found that kind of interesting.
To an extent. The thing is, it's a totally different director, which is a totally different vision than the director. So I almost think it's like it's its own entity. It's not. I mean, yes, it does kind of go with the story line, but it was not made by the director that was involved with this movie. So technically, it's an unauthorized short film using the same actors and actresses on a different vision. So,
Yeah. So, uh, and it's also interesting. Okay, now that kind of brings us to the beginning of the second movie. So maybe I should, maybe we should start talking about the main movie, huh?
well, we can go into first impressions of of what we thought of the Ring 2. But
Oh,
let's go to Tammy and see what she thought
yeah.
of the Ring 2.
Maybe we should also point out that the version of The Ring 2 we watched is the unrated edition, which is longer than the theatrical version. It includes some additional scenes, and a few small details were also different from the way they are in the theatrical version. So yeah, let's hear your first impressions. Yeah, Tammy can start. Tammy, is this the first time you watched the unrated edition of The Ring 2, and what were your first impressions?
No, it's not the first time. I think I watched it with David before, and I might have watched it another time too, but I'm not sure. I know I watched it at least once before.
Oh,
Um,
and yes?
um, it was interesting. You know, it was a different take, of course, than the other ones, and um, yeah, I was not aware that let's see, some of the different things that Samara could do or cause. You know, that came out in this movie.
Yes.
um, the one guy, now I can't remember his name.
Oh,
We know him from
Simon, Simon
Simon
Baker.
Baker.
Max. Max was his name in the movie.
Yeah, we
Yep.
know him from The Mentalist.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, it was different seeing him in this too. You know, but yeah, it was definitely interesting. It was like because it was what's she gonna come up with now? It's
Oh yeah.
and I mean,
Uh,
you still had the things going on where Rachel is trying to get to the bottom of things and figure out the answers, to all of this and how to stop Rachel. I mean, Rachel's trying to figure out how to stop Samara. So,
oh,
and that is kind of like the other ones.
oh
So,
yes.
but yeah, I thought it was good.
Who? And what about you, Dave?
Well, I've watched this. I'm not sure whether I saw it in the theaters, like I saw the first one, but I definitely watched it with Tammy some time ago, and I know I've seen it a couple of times since. But this time around, I had to actually watch it to re-remember what was going on in it because I remember more from the first one than I do the second one.
Mm,
And I know remember even less from Rings, which is after this. So, but
oh,
um,
from the 2017 rings.
yes. So,
Oh,
because I only saw it the one time.
oh
But
yeah.
uh, as far as I get it, I thought it was an interesting add adage to the Ring franchise because they take uh, they take the story of Samaria a little bit differently than they do the Japanese character of um, you know
Sadako.
Sadako. So
Yeah, so after you watched the Japanese movies, especially Rasen and Ringu 2, now you can compare it to the American, the Ring 2, and see uh, in which part the Japanese movies influenced this one and which parts are different. And interestingly enough, The Ring 2 was directed by Hideo Nakata, by the very same man who directed the Japanese Ringu and Ringu 2.
so, but yeah, Aiden is interesting as a character because well, number one, you're kind of seeing him somewhat grow up because he's a little bit older in this one than he was in the first one, and he's always been kind of a strange little boy, and uh, I think it's kind of to his character that he specifically only calls his mom Rachel, which
Uh,
actually is helpful in the end because that's how she distinguishes who is whom in her son. You know,
yes,
uh,
yes.
but in the beginning of the film, she's like, it wouldn't hurt you if you called me mommy or mom every so often. But
Uh,
but he was always his comment to that was like, but I think it sounds better if I call you Rachel or something similar to that.
yeah, Rachel is more your personality. That's what he said.
Yeah. So although in this day and age, if you call your mother by her first name, it's kind of actually rude in American culture. You know, they're either expected to be called mom or mommy. I called my mom or or whatnot. I don't call her by her first name. That would be rude. You know.
Yeah, over here.
I mean,
Okay, I
Tammy
don't.
can call her Dawn or Mom,
I
but
call her either one.
yeah, you call her either one. But I cannot call her Dawn. I just can't. Just like I can't call my dad Rich, even though his name is Rich.
You
Or
know, your
Richard.
dad, I have never called him dad. I've always called him Rich.
Oh, okay.
But Dawn, I've called mom at times. So,
Interesting. Well, over
well,
here,
after we're,
Could you ever call your mom Linda, Tammy?
no, no.
Okay.
I think I
But
would
you
have gotten
called
that.
Jerry. You could call Jerry Jerry.
Well, Jerry was my stepdad.
But would you call him your hey stepdad?
No, I just called him Jerry.
So
But
and
your mom's been in my life almost 17 years, and in a lot of ways, she's been more of a mom than my mom was. So I think that's
huh,
why that's why the mom comes out at times. You know,
yep.
and
But
no offense to your
you
dad.
see
Your
what I'm
dad,
saying, right, Tammy?
yeah, no offense to your dad because he's been awesome to me too. I just don't think of calling him dad. You know, I, you know,
But you see what I'm
well,
saying about
yes.
how it's rude to call your
Oh
mom
yeah.
by her first name.
Even when I was younger, and I'm older than both of you, it would have been rude for me to call my mom Linda.
What's your mom's first name, Boris?
her first name is Mirjana, and yeah, I also call her mom. It would be
But
okay.
have you
Not
ever
sure if
called
it,
her by her first name?
no. Okay, over
Why
here
not?
I don't know. It would be strange. It really never occurred to me. Maybe it wouldn't be considered as quite that rude like you are describing, but it would be strange. Like
It
it
would be
would.
disrespectful, actually. I think.
Mm, well, maybe, but I don't know. Over here, it's really rare for someone to
I
call their
suppose you could
parents.
call your mom by her first name and see what her reaction is. But then she'd
Uh,
probably look at you like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
uh, yeah, she would probably be confused. Maybe she would laugh a bit, but yeah, it would definitely be strange.
Now I
uh,
could see if your mom was doing something uh, wrong, maybe calling her by her full first to middle to last name, but uh, and just as a joke. But that is very rare, Like
yeah, makes sense.
it's just like if your mom calls you by your first, middle, and last name, you're normally in trouble.
Oh yeah, my grandmother called my mom by her first and middle name a bunch of times. So
But
our family had a tradition that's somehow stopped with me, but my grandmother's middle name is my great grandmother's first name. My mother's middle name was my grandmother's first name. So my mom's name was Linda Ruth, and my grandma was Ruth Gladys, and so on and so forth. But it stopped with me for some reason. Fine with me. My middle name is Lynn, so it's not that far off because my mom's name is Linda, but it still basically stopped with me. So
Interesting. I I don't even have a middle name as far as I know.
my Tammy is my nickname. Tamara is my real name.
Oh yeah, I figured that out.
Now, my
Yeah.
dad, when my dad got upset, he would say Tammy Lynn. When my mom got upset, she didn't use my middle name. She would just use my real name.
So, so your real first name is very similar to the name of the iconic character of the movie we are discussing.
Well, my mom knew in a way I basically did not care for Tamara. And she always called me Tammy, anyways. But if she was mad, then it was Tamara. And I was like, it's like, you're the one that picked the stupid thing out, but okay.
Your middle name is Boris, I believe.
Yeah, nowadays we could say it is.
But in reality, if you lived in the U.S. of A., you would probably be expected to have a middle name. I don't know if it's a law, but
Isn't yours Edward?
yep, that's because my dad's uncle, his name was Edward, and so I guess that was his favorite uncle. So it actually, my name originally was supposed to be. They were thinking more towards Edward, but my mom really loved David, and David means in Hebrew beloved. So
So you were named after the biblical David.
yes, which is why I'm actually watching the new Prime show, House of David.
My mom
Interesting.
saw my name in a movie, but it was spelled different. It was spelled Tomara, and she thought my nickname
T.
would be Tommy, so she changed it to Tamara, and then just
Ha!
pronounced it Tamara.
Interesting. I have never read your name spelled with an O. That's new to me.
Well, there is a one. There is a name. Yeah, there are many
Tamara.
different names out there that I would never name a child, but there are names out there.
Are you, it, can you did you just think of any specific example?
Let's see. Okay. Um, one of my sister's friends' husband named a child. Trying to think. I really didn't. He likes Viking names, and he chose. Do you remember what the name of it was? Magnus? Yeah, Magnus.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but
Magnus.
Magnus just sounds like that kid would actually probably get made fun of.
Well, my one niece, I don't know why my brother, the youngest, is Gretchen.
Oh God, that's a horrible name.
Right. The other one,
It's ugly.
is
What?
they got
Gretchen?
Isabella.
Gretchen. It even sounds ugly.
I know. I don't know
Sorry,
where they got Gretchen from.
it's just as bad as Brunhilde.
Right, and the other two girls is Isabella is one and Ellie is the other. So where'd you get Gretchen?
Let's just hope
Or
no one
Grunhilde. Grunhilde. That sounds like a fat German who yodels.
Well, how do you even give her a nickname? Isabella, they call her Izzy, which is cute. How do you give Gretchen a nickname?
I mean, granted, I used to work with some people that were telling me what names they were going to name their kids. And they were of different color, and the names that they were coming up with, I was looking at them all strangely. Well, why would you name them that? And he said, well, a name is everything, and the name that you give your children is going to be forever. I'm like, yeah, think about it. They're going to be labeled that, and they're going to be made fun of for having that name. But
I told my mom I was going to legally change mine to Tammy. She pissed me off. She's the one that picked my name. I told her I was going to change it to Tammy legally.
Yet you didn't end up doing that.
No, I didn't end up doing it. It was a way to get back. When somebody tells you that they don't want you and they wish they never would have had you, I said, well, fine. I'm going to change my name to Tammy because then I won't exist anyways.
Wait, your mother actually said she wished she never had you.
Yes.
Holy shit, that's fucked up. I'm sorry you had such an experience.
Thank you, but that's why I threatened to change my name. Because she's the one that picked it out.
Well, I wouldn't blame you if you had done it.
Her and I fixed a lot of things after I turned 16 years old, but
the damage was done.
Definitely.
Anyways, back to the story.
True.
I know we were going off on a few tangents, but I think it's funny how there are some very ugly names out there, and the things that you are expected to call your mom did not happen in this movie. So, nor did it happen in the ring. He called her Rachel.
Yes, just in the ring, there was apparently no particular reason for that. It wasn't really contributing to the story aside from...
Although in this second one, we do get kind of a history of the fact that evidently Rachel, in the very beginning, didn't want him. Went through a period of depression.
Postpartum depression. Yeah.
That wasn't in the original, in the first American Ring, was it?
No, they didn't mention that in the first movie, but they did kind of mention that Aiden was conceived by accident, that Rachel and Noah were young and having sex, and Aiden just happened.
Oh, so Aiden was hatched?
Sorry, what do you mean by that?
Just an expression. You said by accident. Oh, so he was hatched.
It was said that the pregnancy wasn't planned, or at least it was implied. Like, no one ever lived with Rachel and Aiden, and there was that scene when they were talking in the car.
Well, I'm sure no one on I mean, there are many people who are on purpose conceived, but there are people who claim it's by accident, and yet you did unprotected sex and expected otherwise.
Supposedly I was an accident.
Sorry, supposedly you were what?
An accident.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yep, Mom was 17 and Dad was 19 when I was born, so they weren't expecting me, but here I was.
Not only did she not expect you, but she acted like you didn't exist. But
yeah, that's really fucked up.
Well, according to her, it was the car, the dog, the boyfriend, and then her.
Oh, why?
That's the order that she came in. And all of the trips that her mom ever planned with boyfriends and whatnot, she was never part of it. So
I
Holy
threw out
shit.
I threw out probably at least 10 photo albums after going through her photo albums that were her
well, yeah,
vacations. So why did I want them?
these were
Um,
vacations that were not planned around or with her. It was
and when
always
and
with
when I
her and
got the
boyfriends alone.
and when I got the car that I wasn't supposed to get, I wasn't sure if I really wanted it because it was kind of like you were more important than me all my life.
oh. Well, yes, definitely I can imagine that feeling.
Yes, it took a little while to actually want to enjoy the car once I got it because I wasn't supposed to have it.
But anyways, back to this story. We didn't even start at the beginning yet.
yeah, yeah, true.
Yeah, we got to
So,
get going on it because I only got about an hour left.
oh, damn. So, yeah, at the very beginning, yeah, I didn't even say the basic details about this movie. So, it was directed
Well,
by.
what were your thoughts on the movie first before we get into that? We don't want to skip your first impressions. Not that I'm
Yeah,
trying to make this any longer.
yeah, true. So, of course, this wasn't the first time I watched the movie. However, it was the second time I watched the unrated version because when I was exploring the Ring franchise in 2012, I watched the theatrical version first. And it was a while until I actually obtained the unrated version. And once I saw it, I had seen the theatrical version several times. So I watched the unrated version only once. So this is the second time I watched it. The unrated version, I mean. And but yeah, the first time I watched the theatrical version, I must say I was kind of bittersweet to me because I kind of didn't like the way Samara's character was treated in the end. Like the whole movie, a major subplot of The Ring 2 is Rachel trying to be a better mother to Aiden now than she was in the first movie, and then there is Samara, who yeah, she did do a lot of crap, but the main thing about her in this story, in this movie, is that she is the ghost of a girl desperate for a motherly figure, and Rachel literally treated her like the plague. Just in the end, she just trapped her in that well and left like she didn't even care. That okay, you can somewhat understand Rachel after everything that she was through and after people died around her because of Samara, but I don't know that that moment when she said I'm not your fucking mommy, I don't know, it felt kind of insensitive when you take into account what Samara really is and how and why she is what she is. So I had kind of mixed feelings about that ending, but overall I did enjoy the movie, definitely, of course, since I watched it several times since then. And the unrated version, well, it of course I enjoyed that version too. Okay, the scenes that are in this version that were excluded from the theatrical version, they realistically don't really add that much to the movie. But yeah, it's good to see the movie for what it was imagined like by the director. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. And I did enjoy seeing the unrated version for the second time.
Oh, this is the
And
second time you've seen the unrated.
Yeah, the first time, like I said, the first time was in 2012, but before I watched the unrated version, I saw the theatrical version several times. So seeing the unrated version once was kind of enough. Um, mm, yeah, since the differences between this and the theatrical version are not really that huge, except for these few scenes that we have in this version that are not there in the theatrical version, but those scenes really, like I said, they don't add that much to the story. Like, what can I think of from the top of my mind? Yeah, in the theatrical version, the very beginning scene is Jake and Emily inside Jake's house, and in the unrated version, we get this beginning of them talking in the park before they get into the house. So that part wasn't there in the theatrical version, or some scenes with this psychiatrist, Emma Temple, which we will get into later. In the theatrical version, all we see of her is her introduction scene when she introduces herself and kicks Rachel out of the hospital, and the moment when Samara in Aidan's body gets rid of her, and that's basically all we see of her. While in the unrated version, we also have this part of her doing some background check on Rachel and wanting to have a private talk with her, but Rachel ends up leaving the hospital. So those parts were not there in the theatrical version. Then one difference is the moment when Aidan is taking photos of himself in the mirror in that public restroom. In the theatrical version, we do not get those clips of Samara approaching him, getting closer to him while he is doing that. And the flashes of the camera look a little different in the theatrical version from this one. Also, at the fair, this part when to walk forward and pretend to be walking away from her against her will so that she has an excuse to cut the conversation short and go after Aidan. That part isn't there in the theatrical version either.
Oh,
Or
okay.
what else? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think the part of Rachel and Aidan when they have just moved into the new house and they are arranging the furniture. Okay, I don't remember exactly, but I think that part is. There are some more things like that. I don't remember them all off the top of my head, but there is some web page where all the differences are listed and analyzed in detail. So that can be found if someone wants to. But yeah, you said we should hurry with the discussion, so maybe we shouldn't get into all those details now. The ring too said with Jake and Emily. Jake is trying to get Emily to watch his tape, and Jake makes some really stupid decisions here while talking to Emily. Like he is desperate to get her to watch the tape to save his life, but since that's his goal, it kind of wasn't smart of him to tell her that it's the scariest thing she's going to see, because by doing that he risked her saying no to watching the tape. And and that's what did lead to her finding the tape, which is what got Jake killed. And it's interesting to speculate why he why he led that conversation the way he did. We can even speculate that it was Samara playing on his mind to get him to do things the way he did, because later on, when Rachel found his body, Samara appeared to her and grabbed Rachel's arm and said, "I found you." So it's evident that it was Samara's goal to get to Rachel through Jake. So we can speculate that it was actually Samara's goal to get Jake out of the way. So maybe she was influencing him to play things out not very smartly and get himself killed. So, what do you think about that?
Yeah, maybe.
Tammy, you have got no thoughts on that.
Yeah, that might have been what the whole thing was.
Yeah, but like I said before, we did see Jake on the phone with another guy from the Rings community, and while Emily was supposedly watching the tape, he said he got some stupid chick from school to watch it. So he showed not caring about Emily at all. He really was an asshole. So I didn't really feel sorry for him when he ended the way he did. But
No,
yeah,
I didn't really feel sorry for him either because he was, he let her on. You know, she thought that they were going to have some nice evening together and everything. And then he started getting, you have to watch this. You really have to watch it. Watch the tape now. And, you know?
uh, well,
So,
okay, you kind of can't blame him for being desperate for her to watch the tape so urgently, but he didn't have to be such an asshole about it throughout all that time. Like, he didn't have to fake having feelings for her. He just could have said, "Look, I need you to see something. It's only 2 minutes. I will explain later why it's so important to me that you watch it, but you know it's really important." He could have just done it that way. He didn't have to fake suddenly having feelings for her and all that. Uh, so yeah, screw him. Uh, And yeah, interestingly enough, this movie was made 3 years after the first one, which is why Aiden looks so much older in this movie than in the first one. But story-wise, this movie takes place only 6 months after the ending of The Ring. And yeah, after we saw what happened in the short movie, we find out basically how the tape made its way from Seattle, where the ring takes place, to this small town in Oregon called Astoria, where the ring 2 takes place. Uh, so uh, yeah. Uh, After Jake is gone, we get to see Rachel and Aidan. They are back into the story. Uh, so yeah, now as we find out, Rachel she works as a newspaper reporter again, but this time for a much smaller company, so that she has more time for her son. We see her apparently being on good terms with her editor, who is supposedly her boss, Max Rourke, played by Simon Baker, who apparently has some romantic interest in her. but yeah, things don't uh, things don't stay calm for too long, as it isn't long until Rachel hears about the bizarre death of Jake and realizes that it was caused by Samara. She is the only one who knows the real cause of Jake's death. And yeah, while the authorities and everyone are somewhere outside, she sneaks into the coroner's van and sees the body. And yeah, Jake's deformed face confirms that he died the way she suspected it. And yeah, in that moment, we see Samara's ghost. I think, yeah, not for the first time. The first time is when she kills Jake, but she grabs Rachel by the arm and says, "I found you." So that's when we find out that Samara's goal is no longer to just spread her pain to all of humanity, but also to get close to Rachel, because apparently, since Rachel was the one who found her in the well, and before she knew how far Samara's darkness goes, she did show some motherly tendencies towards Samara's spirit in the first movie, which got Samara attached to her. And now Samara apparently wants Rachel to be her new mother, which yeah, is a part of the story that's very unique to this movie. We don't get that in the Japanese version, where Sadako isn't even a little girl to begin with. Oh,
No, she's kind of a woman.
yeah. So after Rachel realizes that Samara found her way to where she is living now, she finds the videotape in Jake's house and she tears it out and sets it on fire. What do we think of that moment?
Um, what moment again?
When Rachel sets the videotape on fire.
Oh yeah, the videotape makes noises.
Yeah.
It's
Uh, yeah, actually, I thought that was a pretty interesting detail, because I'm not sure if they did that intentionally, but it kind of reminded me of Rasen, the Japanese sequel, where the whole curse of Sadako actually turns out to be a virus. And in the movie, it's not explained that well, but in the novel, we find out that the virus mutated and began spreading through the notebook because it realized it was its only way to survive. Because if it stays only on the tape, since the ending of the tape was erased and people didn't know how to survive the curse, they didn't know they had to copy the tape to save themselves. The virus realized it had to mutate in order to survive, because otherwise it would have get destroyed with the few copies of the tape that existed, which kind of implied in the novels that the virus is self-aware and sentient. So in this movie, when Rachel set the videotape on fire, the videotape screamed like it was feeling pain, and yeah, I thought that might have been a subtle reference to Rasen, to the whole concept of the videotape being kind of a living being of its own. So I found that an interesting detail. But yeah, apparently burning the tape had consequences. Samara already did have intentions of making herself a part of Rachel's life, but her tape being burned apparently made her even angrier, which which is probably why she went even harsher on Aidan and began giving him nightmares and working on possessing him in a way that was really painful for Aidan throughout a major part of this movie.
Okay.
So, yeah, we see Aidan having a nightmare where, yeah, he wakes up in the middle of the night, his mother isn't there, and the TV goes nuts in front of him, and those images from the tape start appearing, and Samara appears and tries to drag him into that virtual world she made as a part of her so-called curse. But yeah, then he wakes up and Rachel is there, but he starts getting sick and apparently uh, he got wet while having the nightmare, apparently soaked in sweat or something. And yeah, he starts developing hypothermia, which is apparently a medical condition, but we see it as the first signs of Samara starting to possess him. So, do you guys have any thoughts on this part of the movie?
Not at this moment.
Well, yeah,
That,
after he has that dream, that's when things start getting weird, you know.
True, and there is a big thing about dreams in here.
yes, definitely.
Samara claims later that she never sleeps, but um, later when we meet up with her mom, or who is in the psych ward, that um, she said it's in your dreams that you might be able to do something. You know.
Yeah, yeah. It's also interesting how in this movie, possession is apparently possible, but it works differently from the way it does in other movies where someone is possessed by a ghost or a demon. Usually, possession just happens. A ghost or a demon enters the person's body, and the person no longer has control of themselves. While in this story, apparently, possessing Aiden is a whole long process for Samara and not an easy one. Like, she first Aiden starts experiencing her feelings, her fears. Yeah, she starts giving him nightmares and stuff like that. But it takes time for her to take full control over him. It's going on throughout a major part of the movie. Uh, she is progressively taking more and more control. Uh, but yeah,
But then Aiden tells Rachel that she can't hear them talk if they're sleeping, and while they're sleeping.
yes, yes, that's right. Uh, the whole concept of Samara never sleeping was already present in the first movie. Like when Rachel is watching that videotape from the hospital, we can see a sped up recording of Samara in her hospital room. We can see the clock uh, going on more than 24 hours, and Samara never goes to sleep. And we see a, a, a psychiatrist talking to her and being confused about her never sleeping, but there is no explanation why it happens, why she doesn't sleep. Apparently, it's just a part of her being a supernatural person. In the first, as far as we find out in the first movie, right? And
Yeah.
at the end of the first movie, Aidan also says she never sleeps. And yeah, her foster father says that also before killing himself. But in this movie, we get a little more insight into that. Like, Evelyn says Samar's biological mother, she says that the dead never sleep, they always look for a way back. And Samara also wasn't sleeping while she was still alive, which kind of implies that there was some that maybe even while Samara was still alive, that a part of that some dead entity was already a part of her, which also works well with. Which also adds up with Evelyn saying that no, it wasn't Evelyn, it was that nun or whoever saying that Evelyn was afraid that some supernatural entity from the sea would come for her baby, which and also we also find out that Samara was afraid of water even as a baby. That as a baby she never cried. That she was crying only when her mother would try to bathe her, which implies that Samara already as a baby was sensitive to some supernatural entity that there was in water that was trying to possess her. And apparently, when Evelyn tried to drown her, because apparently Samara as a baby told her to do that. Yeah, that part is kind of convoluted. Back when I was analyzing these movies, I developed a full theory on how and why those things happened. Now I forgot how I analyzed it, but yeah, or maybe Samara did supposedly telepathically tell Evelyn to kill her, but maybe she didn't specify how exactly, but Evelyn did it specifically by trying to drown her, which maybe that was what allowed whatever the supernatural entity was trying to become a part of Samara that entered her body in that moment and made her the person that she was, that never slept and that was driving the Morgans crazy in the first movie, or in the retrospective part of the first movie. But yeah, so since Emily says the dead never sleep, maybe the phenomenon of Samara never sleeping might have something to do with some dead entity maybe having entered her body permanently when Evelyn tried to drown her. At least that was how I interpreted it. Or maybe you guys have some different interpretation. Let's hear what you've got on that.
Um, as far as what? What is your interpretation of it?
Well, like you just said, we were talking about Samara never sleeping. That Rachel and Aidan can talk without being heard by Samara only when they sleep, because she never sleeps. And we were asking, we were discussing the question why she never sleeps, and I provided my interpretation that it's
I think
because.
because she is in spirit.
Oh, but then what was the reason why she wasn't sleeping even in the first movie, even while she was alive?
Probably because all of her visions were bothering her,
Huh.
and they wouldn't allow her to sleep.
Phew. Interesting. Okay, that's also one way to interpret it, I guess. Yeah, I went for a more convoluted interpretation, maybe. But yeah, we also got a little bit ahead of ourselves here. So we find out that Samara is beginning to possess Aidan. He has a nightmare, and after he wakes up from it, he starts getting sick, developing hypothermia. Uh, so let's see. Yeah, Aidan experiences a nightmare. Yeah, we said that. And then we get this county fair, which we have also already mentioned a bit, where first we see Rachel talking to those women from the neighborhood who she doesn't really like because apparently they like to gossip a lot. And as we see, they don't seem to be very smart persons, saying stuff like. God made children so cute so that we don't kill them and things like that. Uh, like I said before, that part was omitted from the theatrical version, but we saw it here. And there was also a dialogue between Rachel and Max, which, if I remember correctly, it was in the theatrical version. Now I don't remember for sure if it was just as long or maybe shorter than here. Oh, but there was this one moment of Aidan observing a guy with his head in some pot full of water with some apples in it, and Aidan gets disturbed by it because Samara is already influencing him and she is afraid of water. That part is also excluded from the theatrical version. And we see a supernatural phenomenon when Aidan enters the public restroom where all the water-related appliances like the sink and the toilets and stuff start going crazy, probably reacting to Samara's fear of water. But and yeah, we see that moment of a fly coming out of a faucet, which is another sign of Samara since a fly appears on her videotape. Oh, and there is also a moment at the fair when Aidan passes by this carousel and this. What is it? Is it a horse or a deer on the carousel that starts moving all by itself? Which is also
I think it's a,
apparently.
I think it's a horse.
Oh, yeah. As we already know from the first movie that Samara didn't like horses because partially because her foster parents were neglecting her because of the horses, and then also because Richard Morgan had her sleep in the barn with them. But in this movie, we also find out that she apparently has a problem with deer. We we don't find out why exactly, but we see there were some deer skeletons in the basement of the Morgan residence. So I guess that implies that aside from breeding horses, Richard Morgan was also hunting deer, which I guess Samara didn't like that, maybe because she was exposed to their corpses at a very young age, which she, for understandable reasons, didn't like. Um, but yeah, first we see this carousel with a horse going crazy, which is another sign of Samara influencing Aidan. And yeah, the faucet, which we already mentioned, and the major supernatural phenomenon at the fair is when Aidan starts taking photos of himself in the mirror, and Samara is approaching him from behind. And later on, we also see that she is not only there in the photos, but when Rachel is looking at the photos, Samara's image also appears to be somewhat moving on the photos, kind of like human figures on photos move in the Harry Potter franchise. except for Samara not talking here. Yeah, so what do we think of that? Did you have any thoughts on this whole part and the fair and Aidan taking photos and all the strange things happening around Aidan and this part of the story? What did you think about that?
That was kind of freaky, but the next part is even freakier. So
Yeah,
Uh,
I agree.
Sorry, which part is even freakier?
I agree.
the part
That
coming up with the deer.
Oh,
oh
oh
yeah.
yeah.
And then of course the deer accident too, and then all those deer that were surrounding and then that kind of reminded me of the accident that my dad actually got in, where we didn't hit the one, but my dad hit one with the radiator, and then the other one just crashed through the side of our van at the time, and it scared the fuck out of my sister. And I know I was sitting in the back, and the glass went out everywhere, and it cut her a little bit. I know she never sat
Damn.
in the middle of that seat, in the middle seat of the mini van again. But we had to
Well,
actually stop and put some plastic on the side of our window, and the deer pretty much were well. The one with the radiator was definitely dead. Uh,
oh.
and the one that hit our side window was definitely hurt and dying. So
Oh, how old were you and your sister when it happened?
I'm trying to remember. It's been a while, but it was a rememberable experience. I mean, it was a sudden thing, you know. I mean, you don't
De-
expect deer to just dart out in front of you, but they do
Definitely.
so at times when you know when you're out in the country.
Mm, Uh, I can imagine.
So if you've been anywhere in the vicinity of the country at all or whatnot, you are liable to run into deer darting out in front of you. So
Yeah, but if you were young when it happened, either you or your sister, I don't even know if your sister is older or younger than you.
my sister is a year, 6 months, 2 days, and an hour older
Oh,
than me.
yeah, but still,
She figured out the hours. We still haven't figured out the minutes yet.
if you were children when it happened, I can imagine it being severely traumatic
I know
for
we were
both of you.
definitely teenagers.
Oh, did I understand correctly that she was on the passenger seat and you on the back seat?
Yep.
Oh, well, for her, it was probably even more traumatic than for you, then.
Yep. Probably. In fact, she remembers it probably even better.
Definitely. Honestly, that sounds terrifying.
It was a little terrifying, but you do deal with what you get sometimes. It isn't always coming up roses in life.
Definitely.
But in any case, back to the film.
Uh, yeah. So, as Rachel and Aidan are, yeah, so Rachel finds Aidan in that restroom, and she realizes that she realizes that he is getting sicker and sicker. She And yeah, on the way home there is the deer incident, and apparently the deer go crazy around Aidan. They become violent because they sense Samara in him, and probably Samara's hatred for them because she probably had bad experiences that had to do with deer while she was alive. And yeah, when when Rachel and Aidan get home, Rachel tries to get medical help for Aidan, but a part of her already knows that it's Samara's doing, even though Aidan isn't saying anything, but he gets nervous when she asks him about it. We also kind of don't know exactly why he is reluctant to tell Rachel the truth. Maybe because
That's
of
because he's already possessed by Samara.
who? Yeah, maybe she is influencing his mind when he is trying to
No,
say something.
she's actually after you see the pictures that he keeps snapping of. Uh, I believe that's when Samara actually possessed his body. I mean, yes, she had access to his mind after she burned the tapes, because I believe Samara woke Aiden up and then possessed him slightly there,
Oh,
because
to an extent, yes,
not
but
to an extent. I mean, she basically got mad, went to the fucking TV and woke Aiden up, and Aiden saw those images again. So that opened him up to possession.
yes, but wasn't Aidan fully possessed only after waking up at the hospital? Because that was when he started to
No,
call Rachel mommy.
no, I believe that he was already possessed way before that.
Oh,
That is why she showed up in the pictures behind him at the fairgrounds. And why? I mean, there's no other explanation, you know.
who? And what do you, Tammy, think?
I think she was trying to take possession, and he was fighting her.
I
But
think that once she saw the vision, the images on the TV, she possessed him. But that's me.
but
I kind of agree, but I think he was fighting her, and it didn't totally come out until he started calling Rachel mommy. That he was losing the battle.
so at which point do you, Tammy, think that Aidan got fully possessed by Samara?
When he started calling Rachel mommy.
Oh, personally, I got that impression too.
When he started calling her mommy, yeah, but I do think that she got access to his mind right after he saw the images on the TV.
Huh.
And maybe, yeah, he was trying to fight her at first, but he was not strong enough.
Yes, that's definitely true. Uh,
But yes, there are marks that show up on his body that make the doctors question her whether she's a good mother or not.
yeah, and even before that happens, we saw that Aidan had some pet goldfish, which after they returned from the fair, when Rachel was measuring his body temperature, that was when we saw that the goldfish died. Apparently, which apparently had to do with Samara's fear of water. Apparently, the fish sensed that, and it was
That
too much for them.
when she got help from Max, and Max took her to evidently a place that he had to help protect her. Max already knew something was up. He suggested that they take him to the hospital, but she claims that hospitals uh, won't do anything for him and whatnot. That threw up some red flags for Max, which is why Max he noticed that the car was actually entirely destroyed, and so he was actually checking up on the accident, whether it was reported or not. Because supposedly, when you have an accident, you're supposed to call the cops and let them know what happened. Did she? No.
No.
So she did some really stupid things, but
Well, uh, well, actually,
How
I
is she
think
gonna tell the cops that she got attacked by a herd of fucking reindeer?
true, but it happened. It was an accident, and it should have been reported, regardless of the situation. It is something that you do. It's the law. You have an accident, you call it in, and honestly, it protects you in the end too. That an accident is at least on file. You know.
But is she obliged to call the cops even if there is no damage aside from what happened to her car? Okay,
If
some
there was
deer
less
did get.
damage on the vehicle, if there was like only just a tail light like broken, then I would say, okay, there's no reason to call the cops whatsoever, because a tail light can be fixed.
She wasn't
Um,
gonna call the cops though and try and tell them that that it was a herd of deer surrounded the car and took turns bashing their car.
you still, you still call it in. I don't care what kind of situation it is. I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
but
but
I mean,
I do not believe in, okay, this is an extraneous circumstance, and yeah, maybe the cops won't believe you, but at least you do the proper thing, you know?
Uh, yeah, but usually when there is an accident, your car gets damaged, but it usually also involves another person getting injured or another vehicle getting damaged, or I don't know, a wall, a street sign, or something, someone else's property also
I
getting
agree.
damaged.
It's a very strange situation, and I could see her having second thoughts about it, because
David, you don't have to report everything. When my truck decided it wanted to have a fight with a plow, it was not reported.
well, no, but that's because it was a different situation.
No, especially especially situations with like animals, it isn't always reported. Um, the only thing that they ask is if you do hit a deer and it dies, they want you to call the DNR so the DNR can come and remove it.
Yeah, and that's what who he was calling. He was calling the game wardens.
But none of the deer died.
No,
uh,
none of the deer died. They survived, which is not
Right.
normal.
And if you call, okay, insurance on vehicles, it's really kind of funny. It's even if you have full coverage on your vehicle, it's not considered a full coverage accident if you hit a deer. It's still under comp.
What if
You
the
don't
deer
have to
hits
use.
you?
It's still under
Which is
comp.
what happened. I mean,
Full
it's
full.
different if you hit a deer. And it's different. It is different if you are the one that actually hit them.
It still goes under comp under your insurance. Full coverage only kicks in for vehicle and vehicle. I know
who?
this, so
I can see if you are the one that hit the deer, but it wasn't the fact that she hit the deer. The deer hit her.
right, and that's what I'm trying to tell you that a lot of people uh, don't report it to their insurance company because it's cheaper for them to fix it themselves than to report it, and then their insurance goes up.
Well,
Huh.
the insurance shouldn't go up for that.
If you make a claim, your insurance goes up.
I know, even if it's not your fault.
Right. So most people, if they get in an accident with a deer, unless they killed the deer, a lot of times they don't report it or anything unless they actually kill the deer, and then they call the DNR.
But the deer killed her car.
Do you think the deer's going to pay for it?
No, the insurance should.
The deer didn't kill the car.
It basically killed the car. I mean, did you see the damage?
No, I did. I was just going to say it didn't kill the car. It spewed out the car.
I'm just looking at it from an outside perspective. I know what you are saying, Tammy, but the circumstances aren't normal. They really aren't. The deer hit her, which means it should be covered under insurance, and that car was totaled almost. I mean, yes, it was drivable, but should she have been driving that glass? I mean,
but whatever. We need to move on. I'm getting off of here in 25 minutes.
Oh damn! Yeah. Oh dear.
Okay. Let's continue.
Yeah. So after the attack, Rachel realizes Samara may be possessing Aiden. They end up at Max's place, where Rachel tries to get Aiden to take a bath, and Aiden starts getting disturbed by water, which is Samara's influence, obviously. And so Rachel goes home to get her and Aiden's belongings, but in the meantime, Max is having a phone call for a moment. He doesn't pay attention to Aiden, which is enough for Samara to make a complete mess in the bathroom. So Rachel sees those images of Samara on Aiden's camera, and she realizes what's going on. And when she gets to Max's place, the bathroom door is locked. The bathroom is getting all flooded, and when the door eventually opens, Rachel sees Samara where Aiden is supposed to be, which that's in a way Rachel hallucinating Samara being there instead of Aiden, but that's Samara who is creating that hallucination, which causes Rachel to act not quite rationally, and she tries to drown Samara, and unknowingly she starts drowning her own son by doing that, which Max witnesses as Rachel trying to drown Aiden, and after that he sees those bruises on Aiden's body, which we know from the previous movie were actually made by Samara, but he thinks it was Rachel who did it. And also, Aiden starts shouting, "Why is she doing this to me?" And he is actually referring to Samara, which Max doesn't get right away, and he thinks Aiden is saying that about Rachel. So Max kind of forces Rachel to take Aiden to the hospital. That's when we get to know this psychiatrist, Emma Temple. What do we think of her? Hello?
Well, she thinks that Rachel is abusing him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, in a way you can't blame her, but I really disliked her condescending attitude. Like, okay, she doesn't know about paranormal things and all that, so Rachel is the only one she can logically blame. But I don't know the way she was handling that situation. She was really coming across as condescending and stuck up, and I really didn't like her character. But what did you think?
I did not like her. The ways that she was. I mean, I get it that it's part of her job to try to look into the extraneous circumstances. She needed to know uh, because from what it looked like, especially with those handprints on the back of his back, it looked like he was actually being abused. So, a doctor or a hospital, if they see any signs of abuse, they are supposed to report it to child services, and they did. So that's why she came in. But the way she went about it was wrong, I think. What about you, Tammy? Do you think the way she went about it was wrong?
I think she was a little bit too abrupt, especially when she was interviewing Eden. Um, you could tell that he had no fear of his mother, and she didn't seem, she just kept kind of dismissing that. And it's like, I understand that children will lie out of fear of retaliation from the parent that is hurting them, but if she's a trained psychiatrist, she should be able to tell if the child is speaking out of fear or out of actual love.
Oh, good
And
point.
it was clear that he was not speaking out of fear of his mother.
Oh,
So
yes. Yeah, although that was actually Samara in Aiden's body, but yeah, she couldn't know that. uh, but yeah, interestingly enough, all the scenes with that psychiatrist were, yeah, like I said, in the theatrical version, there are less scenes with her, but in that fan-made edit I watched, The Ring 2 Unlocking the Well, in that version they completely omitted the psychiatrist character, interestingly enough. But yeah, so when Aidan is taken to the hospital, before Rachel gets kicked out, uh, she sees when she holds Aidan's hand, she sees or arm, she sees images in her head which kind of look like a second cursed videotape. Although here it's just a sequence of images, mental images, not imprinted on a medium like a videotape. But yeah, here we see some details of what she has to pay attention to in order to find out how to exorcise Samara from Aiden's body. So we see some images like, yeah, we see water, which of course indicates to Samara's fear of water. But what else do we see? A deer skull, if I remember correctly. We also see Evelyn's scrapbook. Is there also a moment of Evelyn taking Samara as a baby to water where she was about to drown her? Some images like that. Let's see what uh, let's see what Wikipedia says about that. Uh, yeah, so Yeah, we also find out that Rachel had postpartum depression, but we already said that. On Wikipedia, there is no word about those images that Rachel sees inside her head, but okay. So the psychiatrist kicks Rachel out of the hospital, and that's when Rachel starts doing more research on Samara's background. She finds out that Samara indeed was adopted, that she was not the biological child of Richard and Anna Morgan. And she visits the Morgan residence again, where there is some real estate agent unsuccessfully trying to sell the place. And Rachel gets an opportunity to explore the basement. And yeah, she sees some stuff there, the mirror that used to be on the wall and that we see on the videotape. And this mini carousel-shaped music box that was also in the first movie in the barn. And she also finds the infamous scrapbook, which
Yep.
contains some interesting imagery actually that could be analyzed further. Later on, when she got to Evelyn, or no, when she got to the nuns at the orphanage where Evelyn used to be, some nuns there says that those images that Evelyn was collecting, that they finally made sense after Evelyn tried to drown the baby, which yeah, I don't know exactly how it all made sense, but yeah, apparently Evelyn was collecting images that I don't know reminded her of what she was seeing in her head as a result of the influence that Samara was already having on her as a baby. So there were images like yeah, some image of a woman's dead body in water, and there was a handwriting saying "vessels of death" or something like that. And a newspaper report about a baby found in the bathtub. I don't know, either dead or some other mother who tried to kill the baby. We don't know for sure if that baby survived. But yeah, Evelyn eventually tried to do the same. There was also that strange image of four people holding each other's hand and being arranged in a circle. We don't know exactly why Evelyn saved that picture. Um, do you have any thoughts on the images in Evelyn's scrapbook?
I feel like a lot of those images were in her vision that she saw earlier, because there she did see the tree. She did see a lot of the imagery that was in the scrapbook book, and I do think that Samara's mother actually alluded to some of what was in the scrapbook, because this scrapbook was her scrapbook, to be fair
Yes,
and honest.
yes. Yeah, when Rachel finally got to visit Evelyn, Evelyn said things like, the dead never sleep, they always look for a way back. She also told Rachel, you did it, you let the dead get in, which kind of imposes the question how Evelyn knew all that. But that can kind of be explained with the knowledge on the Japanese part of the franchise, especially if we take into account that this movie was directed by the Japanese director, by the same one who directed Ringu and Ringu 2. Uh, in in Ringu, it was implied that Sadako's biological father was some supernatural entity from the sea who Shizuko, Sadako's mother, was somehow interacting with. I forgot the details of that part of the story, but I do remember that story a lot better from the novel, where Shizuko extracted a statue from the ocean of some ascetic called Eno Ozunu, who was he was an ascetic who existed in real life, but there were some legends revolving around him that probably never really happened in real life, but could have been based on some people's testimonies or who knows what they saw. But people believe that that man had some supernatural powers. If I remember correctly, maybe I no longer remember it correctly word by word, but it can be looked up online. So uh, in the novel, when Shizuko extracted that statue from the ocean, that was when she gained some supernatural powers. And when she gave birth to Sadako, Sadako had even more powers than her. So if we also take the second novel into account, where things are explained in terms of viruses and DNA and stuff, we can kind of theorize that when Shizuko extracted the statue from the ocean, some part of this ascetic spirit somehow altered her DNA, maybe gave her some of his own DNA that gave her supernatural powers. And when she gave birth to Sadako, Sadako had even more of the ascetics DNA than Shizuko had, so Sadako was even more spiritually powerful than her mother. And that kind of translates well into this story, since apparently Evelyn had some contact with some supernatural entity from the ocean, which in the Ring 2 it was kind of implied that that supernatural entity was Samara's biological father, which in the third movie was proven false, which I think kind of doesn't work that well for the story, but we will get into that another time when we discuss the third movie. Uh, but yeah, apparently Evelyn does say that she was afraid of some entity from the ocean coming for her baby. So if she was somehow interacting with that entity, that was how she gained some powers. And when she gave birth to Samara, uh, Samara became, he had even more of that supernatural aspect. Uh, so yeah, apparently Evelyn got some psychic powers too. That was how she was able to tell that Rachel was messing with the dead, and that she, as she worded it, let the dead get in. We we don't know exactly how Rachel did it, but in the first movie she did extract Samara's bones from the ocean, and that was when Samara's body actually fell apart, which we can kind of interpret that since the particles of Samara's body went out into the air, that Samara was in a way released, and after that, in the first movie, Aidan said you weren't supposed to help her, and Aidan got concerned when he found out that Rachel helped Samara in a way, so I guess the moment of Samara's body being extracted from the well made Samara even more powerful in a way. And maybe Rachel made her even more powerful or angrier at least by burning the videotape. So one of those things were what Evelyn meant when she said, "You let the dead get in." And apparently, according to Evelyn, and also according to Aidan, when Rachel finally gets to interact with him in a dream, she actually has to kill Aidan in order to get rid of Samara, or at least keep him where she is afraid of, which is water, long enough for Samara to get out of Aidan's body. Which, it's uncertain if Rachel keeps him underwater long enough for Samara to get out. Is that going to kill Aidan or not? It's implied that it might actually kill him, but eventually Rachel realizes that she has no choice but to do it. And what is it that makes Rachel realize that she does have to do it no matter how it ends for Aiden?
Well, she decides to sacrifice herself, basically, right?
No, I mean before that, while Samara is still in Aiden's body, what is it that makes Rachel realize that she really does have to drown Aiden in order to get Samara out?
Because she's following what was told her, follow your heart.
I sorry, Tammy, what did you say?
She's
The
following what she was told to follow her heart.
Yeah, but there is also Max death. Uh, we we skipped what happens to Max.
There is.
Yeah, so yeah, when
We didn't
Aidan or
see
some
Max die entirely, though.
uh, yeah, we didn't, but yeah, they had that conversation in the hospital where Rachel tells Max about Samara, and Max kind of doesn't believe it, but he is apparently not entirely. He is not entirely dismissing it, but he is not fully believing it either.
Well,
Um,
he is told by Samara in Aiden's body that I will tell you the reason why I'm doing this if you won't take a picture of me. And he puts the camera on automatic, and she kills him for that.
yeah, she. I mean, even if that wasn't Samara, even a normal child could see that camera blinking, and children aren't really that stupid. uh, and yeah, she kills him for that. We don't see how exactly, but we see that the psychiatrist didn't die the way people die after watching the tape, but Max
No, she
did.
died because of the syringe of air.
Yes, yes. So Samara didn't kill her the way she normally, normally, the way she usually kills people. Uh, so apparently she killed the psychiatrist probably just to get her out of the way, but Max apparently really pissed her off. So Max died the way people die when they watch the tape and they don't copy it, and Samara comes out of TV and they see her ghost and die from the shock, and their face gets all distorted. And that was how Max died. And earlier we saw that Rachel saw Samara's face when Aidan was in the bathtub. Rachel saw Samara for a moment. So now when Samara was fully in Aidan's body, I guess she was able to see Max, see her in her true form. So I guess that was what killed Max. Yeah, the shock. He probably ran from her, and in shock he sat in the truck. But that was when the effect caught up with him, and that was when he died. At least that's how we could interpret it. I mean, in the first movie, Katie was standing at the door when her face got deformed, but she was in the closet when her body was found. And Noah was on the floor when he saw Samara, but he was in the chair when his body was found. So I guess the same works for Max here. Uh,
Okay.
um, so yeah, the psychiatrist got killed. Max got killed too. And it's also interesting to notice that even before Max did what got him killed, Samara did say, "We don't need, Mommy and I don't need anyone, not that psychiatrist, not you." Apparently, Samara has a strong dislike for fatherly figures. She, well, obviously, she didn't care for Noah in the first movie, and here she didn't like Max either because he was somewhat becoming a fatherly figure for Aidan. She wanted to have Rachel all to herself, which kind of makes sense after her experience with the Morgans. Like she was throughout her short life as a somewhat human being, she was emotionally attached to Anna and probably not that much to Richard. Richard was abusing her way more than Anna did, although it was Anna who eventually killed her. So yeah, we can see that Samara is very emotionally attached to motherly figures, but she apparently has a dislike for fatherly figures after her experience in her human life.
Okay. Interruption here.
What interruption?
I have to get going,
Oh,
Alrighty.
I,
so I
I,
needed to interrupt you because
uh,
you
uh,
were going on and on and on and on and on and on.
I'm sorry, the ring nerd in me. So before you leave, do you want to say your thoughts on the production, music, favorite scenes, and favorite characters?
Don't really have anything to say about music. I usually don't. I thought the production was pretty good. Um, the scenes and everything. Although it's somewhat weird and brutal, my favorite scene was the deer because it was
Ooh.
just unexpected and just wow. As you say, spit out.
Spudao, definitely. Wow,
um,
and Spudao.
Aiden is my favorite character because that I think that whoever the actor is did a really good job and everything. So,
David Dorfman, yeah.
but David will fill you in on next week's movie if you
What
remember.
Okay.
is yours again?
Into the Woods,
Oh yeah. Okay.
and I
Into
forgot which version we decided on. I thought
It was the play adaptation, so the one from the 90s.
1991.
Yep.
American Playhouse Into the Woods.
Yep. It's a stage
Oh,
adaptation of a musical that messes up the fairy tales.
oh,
so.
okay.
I will catch you next week. Sorry, but gotta go.
Oh, okay, Tammy. See
Yep,
you.
we'll finish this one off, especially since I
Okay.
can hear Philippe on my own computer.
Okay. Catch you later.
Yep.
Catch you later.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Ooh, oh well.
Okay, so where are we?
Yeah. Well, we are almost at the end. We have already discussed Aidan waking up being possessed by Samara. We discussed the scene with Evelyn. We discussed Max's death. Uh, Rachel realizing that she has to uh, that she has to drown Aidan or at least submerge him underwater in order to exorcise Samara. Aidan tells her that in his when she falls asleep. So yeah, when Rachel wakes up from her short nap, uh, what does she do in order to get Samara in Aidan's body to the bathroom?
Oh, that was before the hospital thing, though. When Aiden went to the hospital, this is I do like that whole bathroom scene where the water is up in the air and everything thing. And actually, she actually has to go back to their house to pick up some stuff.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah, but we have already discussed that. I'm talking about the end after Rachel wakes up from the nap, in which Aidan told her that she needs to drown him in order to get rid of Samara.
yeah, but I thought that actually happens way before the bathroom scene at Max's house. That happens like in the beginning.
Oh, well, as far as I remember, this happens after Max's death. Rachel goes when after
No, because
Rachel
after
finds.
Max's death, um, that's when she walks into the home and he's watching cartoons, and he asks if she is she can stay up with him, and she's like, no, it's too late. Um, and somehow between that moment and that moment, uh, Samara tries to come for him, and basically she has to uh, get in front and say, "No, you cannot take Aiden. Take me." Because that whole
Uh,
dream thing happens like way before everything.
Well, if I remember the way I remember it was after Rachel saw Max's body, she ran back inside the house in shock, and she went to her bedroom and started to cry. And then I guess she unintentionally fell asleep and
Oh
had
yeah, that's right.
this.
She woke up, and that's when she walked in to Aiden, and he's like, "Oh, you had a nightmare, mare. I never dream, or whatnot, or I never sleep."
Yeah, that's a final proof of Aidan being fully possessed by Samara, or at least final proof for Rachel that it happened. And then what does Rachel do in order to uh, get rid of Samara?
I thought that she actually tries to drown him,
Yeah, first
and
she
that's why I think that happened way before the hospital, because that's when Max actually calls the hospital and is
uh,
concerned, and that's how the doctor gets involved with everything.
Yes, but this is actually the second time that she tries to drown Aiden. The first time she was thinking she was drowning Samara, but the second time, after her dream, first she gave Aiden some sedative or something to put his body to sleep. Uh, she mixed it in with jam and had him eat that. Yeah, so his body fell asleep. So she took him to the bathroom and tried to drown him, and then he woke up and he began calling her Rachel, but then he also said mommy, which made her realize that it was Samara, that she was trying to fool her into believing that it was Aidan.
Yeah, and
So
and because of that drowning, Samara was actually shoved outside of Aiden's body, and she
he,
tried to come at her through the TV.
Yeah, yeah, that was a really badass effect. Like when Rachel submerges Aiden underwater, the background gets all grainy like on a videotape, and
Well,
the
Samara actually, after I mean, in the living room, Samara actually grabs her inside the TV.
yeah, well, that comes shortly afterwards.
It doesn't because well, the water and stuff drops, if I remember correctly, at that moment, and they're both still wet, but then they
Uh,
end up in the living room somehow.
Uh, First, there is, yeah, when water drops from the ceiling, that's the first. After the first drowning attempt at Max's place. Okay, this is at Max's place too, but it's before Ada gets to the hospital when water drops from the ceiling. In this scene, when Rachel submerges Ada, the water goes black and Rachel is ejected aside, and then Samara emerges from water in her ghostly form, like not like Aiden, but like Samara, and then she dissolves into water. And Rachel gets Aiden out of the bathtub. There is no more water, but it turns out that Aiden is alive. Fortunately, he didn't get killed from being submerged. But yeah, that means Samara is exorcised from his body, and now she is back in TV. And
Well, yeah. Now she wants to still grab him into, but Rachel offers herself, and then she's taken into Samara's world, and a lot of the images that she saw with the half moon, well, she suddenly realized now that she's in the well that well, shit, the whole reason why she's been able to come out and everything is somebody forgot to shut the well off again, you know, close the thing. So she climbs the well, uh, and Samara comes after her, and you see, I do like this effect where the bubbles come up to the surface, and you're hearing mommy like start to rise louder and louder as the bubbles start to rise, and then of course
yeah,
you see her hand come out, and then she shoots up, and then you see her whatever actress is doing that you hear the cracking of the bones as she's climbing the side of the well, and she attempts to grab her ankle, but um, I guess she's able to knock the grip off and knock a rock out of the well, and a waterfall of water slips her down again, and she's able to get out, and she's able to almost climb up to the opening, and she's like, "Mommy," and she's like, "I'm not your mommy. Shut."
I'm not your fucking mommy. That's how
Yeah.
she says it. Yeah. Well,
And so
that
she closes
moment.
the well.
Yeah. Well,
And
that
I'm
moment.
actually kind of reminded of the never-ending story here because in order to jump to get back to his dad in the second never-ending story, he's supposed to jump through a waterfall just to get to his dad because he's supposed to overcome
Ha!
his fear. Uh, uh,
Oh.
so I feel like her killing herself over her actually killing herself over the fucking cliff is like similar in a way because in order to get back to Aiden, she's got to make the fall. Also, City of Angels, he made the fall to become a real, you know.
Ah!
So I feel like
Wow.
it's kind of a thing in movies. In order to get back to reality, you gotta fall, make the fall, you know.
Yes. Uh,
So
i- Interesting thoughts. I somehow didn't think of either of those movies while watching this one, but good noticing.
well, I guess it's a little bit interesting, but um, I was just thinking about all of those uh, while uh, while I was thinking about that ending, and of course she uh, gets back to Aiden, and I guess everything is hunky dory again, huh?
Yes. And well, personally, like I said before, I had mixed feelings about how Rachel handled the situation with Samara. Like, if she is supposed to be this motherly figure, then I think she should have shown at least some more sympathy for Samara and not.
That's because
And
you feel sympathy for Samara. I don't.
you don't feel sympathy for the
I
spirit
feel
of a
sympathy
child
for
who.
Samara and how she was treated because she was treated like she was an evil thing, and maybe she was. There are people who are born like Damien, who are just trouble since the get go. Whether death needs to happen or whatnot, I don't know. I do know that if there was an entity like Samara, I do think that they should be locked up for their own good. Maybe not killed, but at least locked up because the things that she could do were more evil. Okay, the,
uh,
people should not be able to do what Samara is able to do, and she did things out of revenge, and that's evil. So to me, there was no way to fix her, um, and unfortunately, her mother actually said it that Samara was telling her to drown her.
yes.
So
Yes.
in all fair and love and glory, she made up her own destiny. You know, she planned her own death. It's just that I don't think she expected to be locked up in a well for like 40 years. You know.
Yeah. And also, you said that someone forgot to pull that lid over the well. I think that's not quite the case that someone forgot, but this whole this well where Samara comes out of as a ghost, that's not geographically the same place where the well is located in not in real life, but within the movie in real life. As
Yeah.
in there at the Shelter Mountain Inn where the well is, as we know, they eventually built that cabin over the well. But in this virtual world where Samara lives as a ghost and emerges from the TV, that at that place there is no cabin. The place looks the way it did while she was still alive. And that whole place was somehow brought into existence from her thoughts, from her power to project her thoughts and emotions onto physical media. And I guess it was her who created the well in that virtual world, half open to begin with, because otherwise she wouldn't have been able to get out even to come after other people whom she was killing when they didn't copy her tape.
True that.
Uh, so yeah, but Rachel, yeah, when Rachel got out of the well, she did close it completely, which it kind of left it up to interpretation if Samara can still come after other people who watch her tape, or if this way she if this way she only lost access to Rachel and Aidan but can still come after other people, or if she can no longer attack anyone at all. That this movie leaves it up to interpretation. The next one somewhat answers it, but well, okay, I guess it's not too much of a spoiler. In the next movie, Samara still comes after people as if this closing of the well never even happened, and it's left up to interpretation how that's possible. But we will get into that in a few weeks.
Yep, quite possibly. And
Yeah,
I guess we are now at production.
Uh, yeah, and also another interesting thing I'd like to say in this fan edit that I was mentioning called The Ring 2 Unlocking the Well, where they, like I said, included the short movie but excluded many things from the main movie. One of the things they excluded was Rachel coming back to her own world and being reunited with Aiden. So in the fun edit, they made it so that when Rachel threw herself off the cliff in the virtual world, she never appeared again, and it was implied that she actually died and that Aiden was left alone. But yeah,
Okay.
that's just some fancy imagination of how the movie would have apparently been better. Personally, I disagree, but okay. I For the most part, I'm okay with the ending as it was. I'm just like I said before, I have mixed feelings about how Samara was treated, but yeah, I definitely don't think Rachel should have died at the end.
Oh, you think she should have died?
No, I think she should not have died. I'm okay with her staying alive, but whoever made that fan edit, they apparently thought she should have been dead at the end.
Okay.
Uh, so
Production.
yeah, yeah. What did you think about the production?
I think the production overall was decent. I I think that a lot of people, when they think of the American Ring franchise, they much more think about the first Ring more than the second one here.
Oh, true.
Because even I had to remember what the hell happened once I rewatched it again because
It's not as memorable as the first one. Although I thought it was interesting having Simon Baker in it, and so on and so forth. So, um, okay, so we are okay. So production
I
overall, I think production was decent. I did like the little flashbacks and what they did when they were trying to show what happened to the mom, and Sissy Spacek was definitely crazy enough. I mean, we everyone always knows her from Stephen King's Carrie.
Carrie,
So,
yeah.
um, but yeah, overall, I think the production was decent. So it was pretty solid
Ooh,
for the most part.
yeah, I also like the production. One interesting thing to point out is that in the first movie, if you remember, throughout the whole movie, there is this bluish tint on the screen, like like some blue filter being used throughout the whole movie. And in the second movie, we do not have that. Uh, it's yeah, it's also interesting. I like all the imagery they added here that expands the lore of Samara, like the images in Evelyn's scrapbook or those mental images that Rachel saw when she touched Aidan's hand in the hospital and so on, and also the effects of Samara manifesting herself, like when her spirit emerged from the water and then dissolved into water. That was really cool, and water falling from the ceiling. And Samara climbing up the well, that was amazingly done. And you may have noticed that was probably a reference to the Japanese Ringu 2, which was also directed by Hideo Nakata. There we also had Mai Takano climbing out of the well and Sadako chasing her. Except in that version, there was also Yoichi, the child, and for a moment we saw Ryuji Takayama's ghost. I kind of wish we also saw Noah for a moment in the scene in the well in this movie, but oh well. uh, yeah, but the way they put that scene together of Samara climbing up, that was really amazingly done. So yeah, I would say the production was quite good overall. Uh,
Okay.
And what do we think about the music?
Um, I guess it was serviceable. Didn't really pay attention to the music. I normally don't when it comes to music unless it's actually individual music that is placed within the movie, but no individual music was placed. I do think that there was a composed music per se. The Ring
Oh
2.
yes,
Looking it up now.
by Hans Zimmer, the same man who made the music for the first Ring movie and
Okay.
for many other movies. He is a very well known and very talented composer.
Let's see. It was done by actually no, says the music was done by Henan Loner and
Seriously?
Martin Tillman.
Seriously? I mean, most of the background music from this movie is the same as it is in the first movie, and The music both from the first and the second movie was released as a part of the same soundtrack CD, and there is Hans Zimmer's
That
name
may
on the
be, but
CD.
IMDb says the music was by Henning Lohner and Martin Tillman. So
Wow. Well, I got to check that. I surprised now.
I mean,
Uh,
it may maybe it says something different on Wikipedia.
Seriously.
The Ring to Wikipedia. Let's see if they have the composer. Music by
Who?
Henning. It still says Henning Lohner, Martin Tillman, and original themes were composed by Hans Zimmer. So there's new music by Henning Lohner and Martin Tillman, but they do still use the Ring themes, the theme by Hans Zimmer in here. So it's kind of like both.
Interesting.
So, but it was serviceable. I mean, it's nothing that I would say, oh, I remember this music because it's from this movie, kind of thing. I guess I guess it served its purpose as background music. So I know that others would probably give music more of a honorary mention, but I honestly,
Well,
although there are some movies that I definitely know music straight from and remember it because of the music, like the Indiana Jones music. I mean, everybody knows that. Or the
yeah.
Star Wars music. Everybody knows the Star Wars music.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
or Star Trek. Um, almost all of the Star Trek themes are are entirely different. I mean, you've got the original Star Trek theme, and then you got the STGN theme, and then you got the Deep Space Nine theme song, and then you've also got the theme music for Star Trek Voyager, and I'm sure it was different for Enterprise and other, which I've got to watch Enterprise and Voyager do a because I've
Oh,
Tammy and I have done a binge on the first three Star Trek things, so that's um. In any case, let's go to favorite scenes and our favorite characters. And what's your favorite supernatural movie
sorry,
besides The Ring
my favorite supernatural movie besides The Ring.
and The Seekers? Sorry,
You got me.
you can't cheat.
Sorry, what did you say?
I said you can't cheat.
Oh, good question. Well, I do like Shutter quite a lot. Also, The Omen. Who? What else? Well, when it comes to supernatural, I do like a lot of these movies with technology behaving in supernatural ways. But I also like demonic themes and things like that. So another one I would maybe name is Silent Hill,
Okay.
which we could kind of do at some point.
Yeah, we
But
probably could, especially since they're talking about another movie in the future.
oh yeah, And some other supernatural movies that I definitely like are Dark Angel, The Ascent, that one with a female demon falling in love with a mortal. Okay, that one maybe isn't that much of a horror movie, although it does have elements of horror. I liked that one a lot. And also Succubus Hellbent. uh, yeah, although they really toned down on the okay, there are deaths, but they kind of toned down on the supernatural elements and on the gore and things like that. Generally, on the scary effects. Uh, but yeah, okay. One major reason why I like that movie is because of that whole history I have with that movie's ending credit song. But okay, I won't tremble about that now.
No, because you've
So,
rambled about it on other ones enough. So, favorite scenes and or favorite characters.
oh yeah, favorite scene. Well, one scene some of the scenes I really like are the ones that expand on Samara's backstory, which would probably be the scene of Evelyn's scrapbook being found and the images that Rachel sees when she touches Aidan's arm and so on. But yeah, of course, the final encounter in the well, it's too good not to be mentioned. And my favorite character, well, I do like Rachel quite a bit. Like I said, I have mixed feelings about how Samara was treated, but yeah, as you said yourself, I have quite a bit of sympathy for Samara, so I guess I would have to choose her as my favorite character.
Um, it will never be Samara, but and it will never be Sadako. Um, she is just too darn evil. Sorry. Um, maybe in the beginning she wasn't as, but she caused a lot of sickness and stuff to begin with, and you know her parents were pretty much innocent until they actually had to kill her.
Well,
They were
I'm not
forced
sure.
to kill her because of the things that she was able to do.
Well, I wouldn't quite say they were innocent since they locked her up in the barn and had her sleep there with.
They had to. They had no choice because she was doing evil things, and they also wanted to protect her from the world. Um, Even though the mother wanted to kill her, you know.
Well, that was what she eventually resorted to, but where did you get that they wanted to protect her? That I don't remember that being said anywhere.
It didn't need to be said to protect her from the world, or actually more or less to protect the world from her.
No, that's another story. Yeah.
Protect the world from her, basically. They didn't want. They wanted her to be kept a secret, kind of, sort of, you know. Um,
Yes.
and unfortunately, well, in the American version, they had to kill her because she was an abomination on this earth and she should have never been born, but she was born, you know.
uh,
Some people are just born evil,
yeah.
and I guess because you have sympathy towards her, you must have sympathy towards children that are born evil.
Uh, well, I'm not sure she was entirely born evil or if something evil possessed her when Evelyn tried to drown her and became that's something. Remember that Evelyn said that, okay, she didn't say that to the audience, but that nun or whoever it was at the orphanage, maybe the head mistress, said that Evelyn, when Samara was a baby, Evelyn was saying that she was afraid that some entity from the ocean was coming for her baby. And Samara told Evelyn to drown her, so I guess Samara had a premonition that something evil was going to enter her body and become a
Yes,
part
but
of her.
even in the original American version of The Ring, there was stuff happening to the horses that the mother did not do.
Well,
They had a ton of horses that died, and
yeah, that
there was crops that were failing around the area.
uh,
Phenomenons were happening that they couldn't stop that Samara was doing. So in actuality, I think she was born evil.
yeah, but that part was happening after her biological mother tried to drown her, and after whatever it was in the
You don't
ocean.
think that she was evil before that?
Uh, well, that happened when she was practically a newborn. So,
It's very suggest. It may not have been said that she was born evil, but there is no possibility in heaven or hell that she was not born evil to be able to have these powers and to be able to turn around on a heel and start acting this way because her mother tried to kill her. I mean, there was stuff happening even before she tried to kill her.
before Evelyn tried to kill her,
Yes.
well, what was happening before that, as far as
The
we were told,
as during the birth, all these horses died.
uh,
It
during
even said so in the newspaper clippings that she saw. I mean,
but that was after she was adopted. That
no,
was
it was before she was born. While she was born, so I forgot
uh,
that Samara was an adopted child.
well, yes. She was adopted by Anna and Richard Morgan, who were running the horse farm. And
Which
Evelyn was her
Anna
biological mother.
was the mother that she went and saw, right?
No, Anna killed herself after she killed Samara. Evelyn is a whole other person. Uh, First, Evelyn, the parts of the backstory that we find out in the second movie happened before the backstory we got in the first movie.
Okay.
So Evelyn was her biological mother. She tried to drown her. Then Evelyn was institutionalized, and Samara, as a baby, was given for adoption. She
And
was
as
adopted.
it's as a baby that she tried to drown her. You don't think that her telling her mom to drown her is in fact evil?
Uh, well, I think Samara, as a baby, wanted to die in order to escape getting possessed by
Babies are
whoever.
not babies do not have the brain power to think like this.
Well, I think when Samara was born, she already was supernatural because there were supernatural circumstances of her being conceived.
Is it
But
supernatural or evil?
well, uh, whatever it was that impregnated. Okay, well, in the third movie, in the third movie, we find out that Samara's biological father was actually human, but if Evelyn was in contact with some supernatural entity from the sea, that entity could have been evil, and it could have it could have somewhat influenced Evelyn's bodies in a way that would affect the fetus and cause Samara to be born as a somewhat supernatural being, but I think Samara became both more powerful and more evil after Evelyn tried to drown her, because that was apparently when whatever entity it was that was trying to possess her actually
In order
entered
to
her
do all
body.
this evil stuff, it has to stem from somewhere or be part of her to begin with. So I'm of the mind that she was entirely evil from birth. All she needed was a nudge and to make her worse. And anything, and as far as I know, anything supernatural is evil. If you come from a Christian stand of view,
Everything supernatural is evil.
yes. If you think that way, then of course it's evil from the get go. So supernatural or not, it's evil. To
So,
have any kind of supernatural powers is evil to begin with in the eyes of someone who grew up Christian. Okay, it is an
okay,
abomination in the eyes of the Lord. Anything
okay.
that the Lord did not give them it was given to them by the devil.
Uh, okay, so according to you, is Pinocchio's fairy evil too?
What?
Is Pinocchio's fairy evil too?
Uh, the blue fairy? Well, the blue. See
Yeah.
that is a fiction that somebody created in order to tell a story. To me, it's like a fairy tale. Okay, uh,
Well,
and
the ring isn't
a lot of
reality either.
a lot of fairy tales are created so that a lot of them have morals to the story and lessons for people to learn from. And in that to me the fairy is like an angel, a guardian angel, and
Oh, yeah, more
the
like
the
that.
the cricket is your conscience. You know, your
Yeah, but
or it could be your subconscious for all you care. But we're
yeah,
not trying to explain tales away. You
yeah,
just don't
but
want to believe that Samara was good at any given point. You don't want to believe that she wasn't good in the very beginning.
well, I think by the time she was adopted by the Morgans, she probably was to some extent evil. But
No, there is no gray area. It's either she's evil or she's not. There is no yes or no. There is no maybe. You're either
uh,
evil or you're not. There is no in between.
no, I'm not
There is
sure.
there really is no gray area. There really isn't. You cannot be half this, half that. You're either entirely evil or you're entirely not.
Oh, well, in movies maybe, but in real life, I think we all have both good and evil inside us.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. Does that make the entire person evil? I guess it depends on what you're doing the evil for. I guess
Uh, okay, maybe.
if you're lying to save someone from uh, like if a child's mother dies and you don't exactly want them to feel bad at that point in time, maybe if you tell them that they just went away at that point in time and then tell them that the actual truth later on, that's technically wrong and evil, but it's protecting that person from the pain, at least until they are old enough to deal with it.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I can understand that kind of evil. Which, if you're lying to someone, that technically is something wrong.
Yes.
And we need to be able to tell the difference between what's right and what's wrong. See, I fully believe that she was born evil. I don't necessarily believe the whole sea thing. I think she was born evil. I think the sea was just a way some people with their superstitions were trying to explain it, but she was born evil. And if see, this world started with a Christianic view. It was not born atheist. Okay.
Uh, the world started with a Christianic view.
Yes, the world started with a Christianic view. Most of the world, which was the European world at the time, because there were no Americans before. I mean, there were Native Americans, but they believed in different things. And those
Yeah.
different things were, according to the Europeans, savage and satanic. I mean, when the Europeans came over to and saw the Indians, they were escaping from tyranny and persecution of their own beliefs, and they were trying to figure out their own individuality. Unfortunately, they because they were so savage and fearsome looking. They wanted to change them into what they believe because then they could make other people where they came from feel like they could be okay with coming over to the Americas, because according to them, they had to conform to the European way of living. But the Europeans also brought their own diseases, which killed off a lot of the Indians to begin with. Supposedly before the Europeans came over, there was no diseases amongst the Native Americans.
Wow.
So, at least that's what some of their history says. But anyways, that's going way beyond everything. And I think we're pretty much. And my favorite character, I would have to say, is Aiden.
Ooh.
I don't like his mother very much in this one, because she does not do things that I think she should have done. I think she should have at least reported the deer accident to the game wardens. Because no matter what, even if this was a weird happenstance where a whole fucking herd of deer attacked her, it's strange enough and dangerous enough that maybe someone else could actually have that happen to them, and they would be pre-warned about it.
Well, interesting point.
And that's actually also my favorite part in the movie, to be honest. And my favorite supernatural movie is I have two. The first is House on Haunted Hill, the original 1961, and I would have to go with another movie called The Entity.
The Entity, from which year?
1980 something.
1982. Let's see. A woman is tormented by an invisible being. Okay, I will look that up later.
Not just tormented; she's spiritually raped. Yeah, she is actually fucked by a spirit. literally, but it's but people believing her is a totally different story. But in any case, I believe that is it. We have almost gone 3 hours, so
Indeed.
that is pretty much the discussion on The Ring. Hopefully, you ladies and gentlemen have enjoyed our discussion on it. Like, share, and subscribe. Let us know down in the comments what you thought of the movie and what you thought of our discussion. And I guess we'll see you next time as we go into the woods. I hope, and Boris, let me know if you find a copy of the movie. If you do not, I'll see if I can't find a copy for you to watch. Or something like that. Okay, it should be
Yes.
up somewhere, but if it's not, then I guess I'll have to send you a copy or whatnot. So,
Ooh, we will see, I guess.
but
Mm,
in any case, I guess I shall catch you all later here on Delusions of Grandeur. So thank you so much and enjoy.
yeah, thank you so much.
Yep. Say good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.